Hey, everybody, welcome to Every Damn Friday. Um, this just keeps getting better and better. Either I have lots of really, really good friends who just say yes, or my friends are super talented. I think it's probably both. But today's guest, she's been around the music scene for a long time, has been involved in music as a performer and as it, kind of been in the administrative part of music and kind of running shows and festivals, and now she runs probably my favorite venue, and
No.
that's coming from someone who has a venue. I have Miss Candace Barbee on here with me. How are you doing, dear?
I'm good. How are you, bub?
Life is good. It's cold in the shop, but fire hasn't started working yet.
I know. Hopefully, it'll warm up in there for you soon.
Well, we had Fool's Spring,
Yes.
where I could have wore shorts the other day, but
I know.
alas, alas, the groundhog predicted some more winter. So here we are.
Well, pulled one over on us.
The good thing is, I have Grove,
Look
uh,
at that.
my Grove koozie there to
I love it.
keep my
That's
apple
awesome.
juice nice and cold.
I
Well,
love it.
so obviously this is you're in off season at the Grove.
Yeah.
For those of y'all who've never been to the Grove, it is they basically took a growed up back part of a parking lot.
Thicket.
Yeah, I mean it looks like when I used to play in sinkholes as a kid, like just growed up, brush, junk trees and things like that. And you all basically turned it into this magical musical adventure for people. Um, but I don't want to talk about the Grove yet. Let's talk about how, because I know you've worked in music, you've worked with festivals. I know you worked with Danny Wimmer
Mhm.
Productions, and so tell me about kind of how that your whole journey with music began.
Yeah. So I did not know that that was what I wanted to do until I was in college and halfway through a biology degree. But I went to my first music festival in college, as many do, and just fell in love with the whole concept. I grew up in a super small town. I'm from Edmonson County. So when I was a
Which town in
teenager,
Edmonson County?
Cleveland,
Oh yeah, which I can never pronounce.
Beat is
Yeah,
how
Charlie Beat,
that's
the
how
home
it
of
looks
Aaron
like.
Dole too.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up there and I, had no idea that, like, music festivals and all that were still a thing. Like, I'd been to shows and stuff, of course, here and there, but, uh, I had books about Woodstock and '60s counterculture and was just, like, this super nerdy kid, like, nobody else
Longing to
was
be a
reading about
hippie.
that stuff. Yeah, exactly. Whenever I was a teenager, I was like, "I died at Woodstock," and I came back later. Like, I
Well,
had this whole theory about it when I was a teenager,
but
but
I remember, like, I played music, but I remember going to Bonnaroo and just being like, this is the most uh, magical thing, that like music all day long and food trucks and people
yes.
experimenting with hallucinogenic mushrooms and guys on horseback trying to sell you laced LSD chocolate.
Yep,
I
just
mean,
a
it was a whole new
smorgasbord of
world.
activities for
But
sure.
it was also like, but I had that's where I fell in love with some of my favorite artists, and
Oh, yeah, for
so
sure.
I totally see the allure. So what led you to start working with festivals?
Well, whenever I came to the realization that, it's like this is what I wanna do. Like, I
Didn't want to
want
be a
to
biologist.
yes. I want to recreate this feeling that I'm having right now of just community and music, and I want to just, like, wherever that is, wherever it leads me, like, that's what I wanna do. I just want to create moments like this for other people. Sorry, my dog is coughing
It's
up
okay.
something over
We'll
there.
He's gonna have to wait. I'll ask him questions later.
She actually,
Sorry.
this Brandy. Um, but, yeah, so I kinda got involved with, like, some local stuff, just, like, volunteering and street teaming for different things and sitting in on meetings and just, like, paying attention, pretty much. and I switched my major at Western to PR and minored in folk studies, which made no sense to anybody at the time, but now it
And,
makes perfect
and
sense.
that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But I did the whole like festival thing for a while. Like you said, I've done contracted work for different production companies, mostly Danny Wimmer Presents. Um, I got hired on with them full time at the beginning of 2020. So, everybody knows how that story goes. And it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Trump, like, we
But,
love you,
but, for,
but
but for people who've been to festivals and probably sit there and wonder, how do you, because uh, at the time of this recording, the Bourbon and Beyond lineup came out, and it's like
yes,
1,000 artists, and there's
insane
four
every
or
year.
five stages, and it's they're doing the culinary stuff, and you're trying, and it's amazing how things don't really overlap. Like you can kind of effortlessly kind of move around. So, as someone who worked behind the scenes, what was that like?
The first time I was on site for Bourbon and Beyond, it got rained out. So
Was that at
that
the old site, the
that
water
was a
tower?
whole yeah, it was whenever they were having it down at Champions Park.
Yes. Was John
So
Mayer a headliner that year?
I think so.
Yeah. Eddie Vedder was there. See, I was there
I
painting.
just remember that I got to see Lenny Kravitz and I was like, okay, I
Ah,
don't care
yeah,
anymore. Like it
yeah.
can't.
He was like 50 then, and still better looking than everybody.
Dude, I don't even understand it. It's not fair,
But
but
I do remember that because that was a big deal, because it ended up being like, turned out that field there, they had buried like human waste or something there a million years ago, and like it was a mess.
yeah, it was a whole ordeal. So needless to say, the festivals were never held on those grounds again, and since then have been moved to the fairgrounds.
But that's Danny. Like
But
Danny, just like it for somebody else, it would have it that would have been the end of them. And for him, it was
oh
just like,
no,
no, we're going to go bigger and better then. He
for
and I have
somebody
butted heads
like
before.
Danny, it's always just like, and I've always tried to maintain this mentality too, but from a healthy perspective, Danny's a what's next guy. And that's always me. Like always trying to like think of how to level up. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
how to make it better.
and I think even with what he does and with what you're doing now, it's no different than being an artist. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I've done this thing. Like, people are going to expect something different next time. They're going to expect something bigger, and and even as they kind of settle in with what it looks like now, it's still like, and I feel like that with the Grove. So how did you parlay from doing that? I guess because I know you kind of went back and helped since you've been at the Grove, but how did
Yeah.
how did the Grove happen for you?
That was a completely happenstantial circumstance. I literally think to this day that it was just meant to be, that I was just kind of in the right place at the right time. Um, the Grove was a COVID project. Um, like you said, Jason, my boss saw this thicket behind the parking lot and decided to, clear it out and build a little platform out there and a little bar. There weren't roofs over anything at the time.
It
Like the
was
first time I
ridiculous.
saw it, like it was very primitive at that
I mean,
time.
if you've never been to the Grove, and and congratulations, because you got featured as like a place to go for Kentucky tourism this year,
I
which is a
did. We
huge
we
deal.
we got featured
Uh,
in the visitors guide this year.
but I'm telling you, like, they have literally taken it's like, I don't know, it's like one man's trash is another man's treasure, and this was
Yes.
just a grown up. I mean, I can't explain it enough. So you must go, but and you'll understand. But so he just like said, I'm trying to do this thing, and I know you have experience with this.
So I went to go hear my friend Leslie Ming play. Um, and a friend of mine called me and was like, "What are you doing?" And it was like October of 2020. I was like, "I'm not doing anything." Of course,
Yeah,
like who was doing anything?
I've got a
She's
mask
like,
on.
yeah. like, "Leslie's playing outside at this place in Glasgow. Do you wanna go?" And I was like, "Glasgow? Like, where is she
Nobody goes to
playing in
Glasgow.
Glasgow?" Like, I live in Bowling Green, just for, not everybody knows that. Give a little,
For
a
reference.
little reference. Yes, exactly. I was like, "Sure." So we tore out and we went, and she actually knew Jason because she was a teacher in that district and had brought
Yeah.
her kids over to Ralphie's to play, and was like, "Jason, this is my friend Candace, she likes music things." And I brought my camera, you know what I mean? I was like, "This is so cool. Like, here's these pictures, you can have them, you know what I mean? Like, you should do
Yeah.
this or you should try this," just like just genuinely excited that the space existed. I'm like, this could be like such a cool thing. And Jason
Because
was
you
like,
thought that you it affected you the way it did me. I mean,
yeah,
'cause remember I brought Jonah with me the first time I played there, and I remember sitting him up on a whiskey barrel, and he was just like, "This is like a treehouse." I'm like, "I know.
yeah.
It's like a clubhouse that we made back in the woods that nobody knows about."
Right, yeah, I don't think that the treehouse had even come yet, but
No.
he was forecasting what was to come for sure.
So this is what season? How many seasons now?
This is number 5, right?
5.
Yeah, because
So you've been doing this for 5 years?
our first full season was 2021, I
Okay,
believe.
so in the beginning, nobody knows where the hell this place is.
Yeah.
What's it like trying to book people at that point?
Well, I mean, you start small, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, because it's always been local first, and that's still, very much, um, the local representation in programming is equally as important to me as having, the people that are having, big articles
Like creating a
written about
scene.
them and winning awards. Um, but we started out, just I'm fortunate like you. I know a lot of musicians. I know a lot of really talented people. And so it's just like, hey, I'm doing this thing. We're starting a music venue in Glasgow. Like, and there were so many people that were like, "What? Like, what are you, how are
But
you
for
gonna do
me, it's
that?"
like Glasgow's closer than Bowling Green. Like I would
Yes.
rather drive to Glasgow than to drive to Bowling Green. So
Yeah.
it was and I spent so much time at Rough River during the summer, like it was even closer. So the first couple of times I played, I would like leave the leave our campground and come straight there. Um,
Yeah.
but at what point did you start getting like, because with the barn here, I've started to build relationships with booking agencies and stuff,
Mhm.
and I'm sure just like you start getting emails saying, "Hey, this person's coming through. They'd like to play there."
Come through with those avails, baby.
Yeah. So at what point did it start kind of turning for you?
Um, I mean, to say that there was like a moment that sticks out in my mind that that started happening more frequently. Nothing really comes to mind,
Well,
but
who was like the
it was
first big show like in your mind?
like just from our first season.
Well, just like where not
Michael
just hey,
Cleveland is the first big
okay,
more well known person
Grammy
that
winning,
we've had.
yeah.
Lord, all of the seasons run together, so it's so hard for me to go back in my mind, and I feel like I've lived a lifetime since then. But it's always been really important for me from the beginning to be like we've got to start being talked about in artist circles because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Like if we're not providing a memorable experience for the artist, then like it all starts with them, and
See, I
whatever
think
is happening. Do
we
what?
share that in that we're not just a bar or a stage or
Right.
a hall. It's like you have a thing, like the barn has a thing, but I'm
Yes.
like you. First and foremost, like they have to get paid a wage that they are happy with.
Yes.
There has to
Exactly.
be accommodations. Again, like you said, you need for those artists to go. Man, I really enjoyed playing that place, and
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite spots I've ever played. And
Exactly.
and then it makes it easy to call somebody that maybe is a little bit out of your league and go, hey, maybe you've heard of this. I've had these other artists here and we've had a positive response.
Yeah. You wanna talk about somebody out of my league that knew about us. I went to Grammys back in November for, Gillian Welch and Dave Rawlings' Woodlands album signing,
Yeah.
and Grammy was like he texted me, he's like, "Now you tell them that I told you that we're friends and that they need to play your venue." And I was like, "Okay, I'm only gonna say that because you said to say it
Right.
though, because I hate name dropping."
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it drives me
It's
crazy.
business, baby.
Yeah. So I was like, "Okay, well, since you're telling me to do this, then I'm gonna do that." And I walk up there and, hand them my record and being all derpy and nervous because they're perfect human beings,
Yeah.
literally. And I told them what Grammy said, and they were like, "Oh, no, we've heard of this place. We've heard of this. We've heard really good things about this place." Julian was like, "Do you have a sticker or something that I can have?" I was like, "Do I have a sticker you can have?
I'm going to put
Like,
it
do
on my
you want my
Subaru.
firstborn child?"
Yeah.
You
Well,
can have it.
and grimy is the stage of indie Nashville for sure.
Oh my
But
god.
but
Yes.
but at the same time, you're just up the road, so it's like you've had enough people there now of significance that it's like people playing the caverns or people. There's a couple of those venues where if you're a Nashville person, you can go pick up a gig at this place. It's
Mhm.
it's far enough away from Nashville that it's not infringing on anything.
Right.
And both of us have to deal with radius clauses and things like that.
Ugh.
Like Bowling Green, but Bowling Green is like people want to complain about how Bowling Green doesn't have good music at the Sky Pack and all that kind of stuff. It's
Mhm.
because they're too close to Nashville. And and if I've had people, I've lost people here because I'm too close to Louisville, or I'm
Yeah.
so. But at least Glasgow is you're kind of on the fringe there, where and you're small enough that it's not going to mess up a Nashville gig.
That's the beauty of independent venues, you know what I mean? Because we're small enough, in stature that these big arenas and stuff aren't worried about us. I did have a moment. I was pretty proud actually whenever I booked Steep Canyon Rangers. The Ryman was like, "Okay, they can book the show, but they can't advertise in Nashville before this date." I
You're
was
like,
like, "The
whatever.
Ryman knows who we are." Like, that's so cool.
Well, and it's like Nick Jamerson played here, but he was also playing Bourbon and Beyond.
Yeah,
So like I had to get it cleared with them, and they were like, "Yeah, that's fine."
yeah,
Which it took them about 30 seconds to okay it, but still,
right.
it's like it was significant enough.
Yes.
200 tickets, and it is nice to. It's nice. You're not doing it for the recognition yourself, but if you're not getting your venue recognized, you're not doing your job.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's it's such a cool story of how the place started in the first place, but, like, I was talking to somebody, it was a new agent that I started working with the other day, um, and he's from New York, so he don't know how how we be doing things down
Yeah.
here.
It's
Um,
barns and thickets.
yeah, yeah, exactly, but, oh, shit, I forgot where I was even going with
Your
this.
friend from New York that you were just talking to.
Yeah, but what were we talking about before that? I lost my train of thought.
I just like how it's not about you getting recognition, but if you're not getting your
Yes.
venue recognized, you're not doing your job.
Yes, yes, yes. That's exactly it. And I gave him, like the whole backstory, the, Cliff Notes version of it. And he's like, "You seem very passionate about this. How long have you been doing this?" And I was like, "I mean, not very long in the broad scheme of things, but I have never felt a level of conviction and just like a ever burning passion, as corny as that sounds, for what this place is. Like it deserves to be full of people all the time.
Well, and you are, and I gotta quit saying this, but our venues are a lot alike in what they're
They are.
providing.
I
You know,
had the same feeling the first time I ever came to the barn. I had that same feeling that I get whenever I'm at the Grove or whenever I went there for the first
well,
time.
because you're bringing a type of music to the Grove and to Glasgow, to that community of people that they would not otherwise have access to
Right.
if not. It's not on their radio stations. It's not on their TV.
Yes.
They're probably not, following these people on the gram or TikTok. So
Well, listen, that
you're
comes with its
curating,
drawbacks.
huh?
I said that comes with its drawbacks.
Well,
For
yeah,
some
but
reason,
but again, it's like, you and I have fought the same battle, but I think we're both winning. Like, we're winning over it because
I think
you
so.
get the same people there a lot, right? You,
I try to, well, like, on the, like,
your guests,
oh, yeah, 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 for
yeah.
sure. No, we have regulars, you know what I
So,
mean? And
so they've grown to trust that you're not going to bring crap in. Everything you bring in is going to be great, even if they've never heard of them.
listen, I did not even like it took somebody else bringing that to my attention because I'm constantly suffering from imposter syndrome, just like all the time. It's a thing that I constantly have to work on, but there was I think it was David from Mama Sid's string band the last time that they played there last summer. They're like he's like, "Candace, you know that, like, most of these people don't even know who we are." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, these people are here for you. Like, you're being silly. Like, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard." And he's like, "No, like, people trust that whenever they walk through your gates, that somebody is gonna come on stage that just knocks their socks off,
Yeah.
and they're gonna wonder why they hadn't heard of them before." And
And
I'm
and
like,
that only
"Oh
works
my
because
god."
from the very beginning, you haven't just, like, got place fillers. You haven't, like, even when you couldn't afford, to have big acts, you made sure that the acts that you did have were good. And, and again, you've built up this trust, and you really are doing a community, a cultural service to them.
That's
It
what we're here for.
and they may not even realize it, how lucky they are, um, to be able to see those things, but it doesn't matter because they're enjoying it.
I think we have just received a ton of just outpouring love from people in our direct community and states away, you know what I mean? It's been crazy, like, a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, I know that this can be such a thankless job and da 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 da," and, like, it does have its periods, like, working on the backside of events can be, like, lonely in ways sometimes because you do spend a lot of time by yourself,
Oh, I
but
got an
man,
email yesterday, like, "Where we at on ticket count?" I'm like, "We sold 19." Like, what? Like, call me in a month. Like, leave me
right.
alone right now.
No, but, I get on, our social platforms and I will have posted something, a couple hours ago and I get back in to check it and like there was something that I posted a while back. It was towards the end of the season, just like a genu like a grateful, you know, uh post just kind of reflecting on the year. It wasn't at the tail end of the year, but it was toward like it was after our season was over. And there were just comments after comments from people in Illinois and Georgia and Iowa and Texas and all parts of the state that were just talking about how grateful they were that the Grove existed and the memories that they've had there. And like I'm getting emotional
Yeah,
just like
I'm
talking about
perplexed.
it.
Hey,
I
hey,
know.
talk amongst yourselves.
No, but no, it really means everything. Like, it's so stressful sometimes, but those moments like that, it makes it all worth it.
All right, let's change gears just a little bit with the Grove. So,
Okay.
like specifics, like, what is the capacity?
We've been capping shows at 600. I think that we can like, if we needed to make a little wiggle room for something real special, we probably could,
Yeah.
but that as of right now, like, we haven't gone past, like, 600,
So it's a legit, like, that opens it up to where, you can have significant artists at a
Yeah.
$600 ticket.
It's just enough to where we can get people, that are notable.
Right.
I can't book Tyler Childers or Billy
Right.
Street.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I still get people that
man,
genuinely are
why
like,
don't you get Hank Jr.?
I wish y'all booked Sturgill Simpson over there. I'm like, okay, would you like to sponsor
Yeah.
Sturgill Simpson, Mr.
Well,
John Blue Skies to come and
but you're at the point now where it almost seems like every show that you have is like a Grammy nominated, multi award winning,
no, that's not the case, but
well, but your Dan Tominski's and your Michael Cleveland's and and you got like people who are the best at what they do.
yes. Well, I'm always drawn to people that are masters of their crafts, and like awards are cool and everything, but that's never
But
been.
they got them for because they were great.
Yeah, exactly. I literally, by the way, I was in Nashville on Saturday for the 615 Indie Live thing and was coming out of the cannery, and this guy like darted out of this door, and all I saw was the back of his head. And I was like, that is Dan fucking Johnson. I was like, Dan? And he turned around, he was like, what's up?
Well,
Like, this
well,
is insane.
let's talk about that. So, like, as pretty much the main point of contact, like, how cool is it to interact with all these people?
Man, it's really cool. I have to put some effort into just like,
Not fangirling.
this is totally cool, like,
I do
not a
this all
big
the time.
deal. Like,
Yeah,
this is just a person, you know? But I've had a couple of those moments, where I've had to be like, "Okay, like, you're gonna have to pull it together here," but
it,
I mean, I just love talking to people. Dom Flemings, uh, I had such a good time just, like, hanging out with him and talking to him because 'cause I'm into, like, all of the old, like,
I
nerdy
know you're a
shit.
folkie.
Yes, and I grew up listening to classic country and folk music, so he and I had so much to talk about, and it's just I just love hearing people's stories. It's the universal language, like, it's so corny to say that, but, I mean, it really is, like.
It is, and as an artist, I know, and we'll talk about you being an artist too, but it's also very humbling to be an artist and be able to bring in somebody who like I always play at the beginning of the Ramble shows, right? It's a
Yeah.
shameless plug. It's my barn. I do what I
You
want.
should.
But it's like and all those people know me, so it's like yeah okay Josh thanks yeah, it was nice, but it's so humbling to see my people respond to these people that you brought in and and for them to kind of share your excitement and your love for them because
Yeah.
yeah, I'm bringing in people that I like. I'm very selfish about who I book in that I'm not bringing them in for you. I'm bringing them in for me and you're
I've had a couple of those. Not I don't do it very often, but I've done it a time or 2.
but still it's like but to see them like Jonathan and Abigail Payton were the last ones that we had here
Mhm.
and and the and he played. Everybody was talking and chattering, and they were opening for Nick, and so they were just the two of them, a duo, acoustic. He plays one note, and then they start singing, and everything just goes. Everybody shut up, and they sang the whole first song a cappella together,
Oh my
and
gosh. I remember
and
you telling me about that now.
yeah, and everybody just froze. And these are my redneck like country is cow shit buddies. But now they will like they get it now. Like I've never been like, and this is no shade at like Duke's Indy or anything, but like I'm not. I've actually told we had Poe Ramblin' Boys here one time, and they played two long sets, and
Mhm.
Jug in between goes, "Man, why won't these people shut the hell up?" I'm like, I'm like Jug, like, listen, they're learning. Be patient with them, but these people don't get to visit with each other either. So there's a little bit of that. Like they don't
Yeah.
understand the etiquette of that. But if they're laughing and talking and they're still here, that means they really like it. So
Yeah.
like don't like this isn't a listening room, I guess.
Yeah. It's a fun, like, kind of a colliding of worlds for people like us, because it's like, here's all these people that I know and this
Uh-huh.
artist that I
Please
love.
don't embarrass me.
Yeah, I'll straighten up.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, like this is a really good song. I need y'all to stop talking for this.
Yeah, just sure, just pay attention.
But
No, it's
but I think they like anytime I've been at a show, even when it's you know, even when it's not like the biggest attended show, like they're still just like right. The people that are there are all the way there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's always the goal, whenever we're doing stuff like you and I are, it's like you want to bring people there for the music. Like it's cool that we've got all this huge bourbon selection and all of that good stuff, but that's it all started with the music. That's
Yeah.
that's why we're there.
So, what are some changes that have been made since season one? I know you all have added a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, so, like I said, we started out very primitive. The first Pebbles, you were not supposed to have that.
Hmm. Your dog's gonna like have an allergic reaction.
It's a zoo in here. Um, but the first thing that we did was, build roofs over the bar and the stage, and I, was like, "We need to, like, expand this a little bit, make it a little bit bigger." Um, and I have a good friend, Colton Turley, that is a sound whiz, and brought him in to consult on, the way that everything needed to be laid out sound wise before any major construction was done, so that you know, we would
Well,
never have to like undo something like
well,
really
and
major.
you don't want to spend all your money on the aesthetic stuff, and then you're playing out of a PV Rage or something.
Oh, no. Yeah, like, the sound thing that has always been, that's always been, like, top-notch priority for me. It's like, I can set somebody up, you know what I mean? I can do, like, the whole microphone and acoustic guitar and, I'll get your DI ready for you and all that. But listen, if you tell me you need more of this in your monitor or you need this, that, and the other, Imma be like, "Sorry." Like, that's
I've
where.
got a guy,
Yeah.
and I'm
Let
just like,
me.
make sure that you are not busy on these days.
Yes, exactly. And I'm very fortunate in that I've got, a small but mighty team of sound people that I rotate in and out.
We talked
Um,
about it. You've got a treehouse gallery now.
yes, that's been kind of the most recent major update. We built our secondary bar in 22, the Bourbon and Beer Bar. We built a permanent structure to go over the sound cart that we roll in and out. That's got all of like the soundboard and stuff on it. Um, in 23, we built the first section of the treehouse. And then last year we bridged the two together and we've got like the private bar up there
Hey,
now.
you're like Nashville. When you get too full on one level, you just build another
Build
level.
another one. Yeah,
Of course,
somebody was joking the other day. They're like, "You gonna add a second layer to that treehouse, Candace?"
hey,
Like, no.
like Peter, it's like Neverland.
It is kind of like Neverland. I since the for if people haven't seen the treehouse or been to it, it's got swings that are built in along the bottom side of it.
They've got like bonfire pits all over the place with firewood stacked up by the trees.
Mhm.
There's lanterns hanging and lights swinging from
Oh
everywhere.
God.
It is 100% a vibe, and uh, I don't know. It does it makes you feel artistic. 'Cause some venues are very sterile and like and it's like here's the tape on the floor where this thing goes and the you know like
Right.
theaters and things that are you know or they're just an old building that somebody threw a stage in and put some sound in. I've played some warehouse
Yeah.
type places too, and
And I think that makes is like you said, like places like the barn and the grove, it's very niche and it's a welcome change for artists that are just used to playing a room,
well, let's
you
face
know.
it. Like, if you toured at all, like a lot of the places that you play are the same old clubs. And when you
Exactly.
get a chance, and that's why people have bucket list places. And I'm not talking about Red Rocks and the Ryman. I'm talking about, but there are certain clubs and bars along the
Oh, yeah.
road that people are like, oh, I can't wait to play Green Hall, or I can't wait to play,
Yeah,
this and that, because they're different. And
exactly.
you definitely got one of those.
Loretta, what was it that she said? She said, "You've either gotta be the best first or different." I think
Yeah,
it's the way that, and that's, I mean, that's not just,
I
that's
reckon I'm
just
just
good
different.
advice for an artist. That's good advice for everybody.
So, big plans for this season? Like, I know you've already announced a show. Uh, I know you got a lot of stuff in the works. There's probably things you can't talk about. Is this going to be
Yeah.
the biggest year ever?
Well, I mean, one always hopes, it's that year is gonna be the biggest year ever. It's been, man, it's like the pressure just builds every year, you know what I mean? And you got all these people going, "I can't wait to see what you do," and you're sitting on the other side being like, "Me either."
Everybody's saying no this year or whatever, because you can't really get any bigger.
Correct.
So,
We
so
we
you,
are tapped out as far as space goes,
you're very
but
much, and then that limits you from it's just like with me. Like, if you tell me it costs $10,000 to have you, then that means I've got to get a sponsor, and then I've got to figure out how do I make the ticket price attainable for local folks and still
right,
afford you.
sure.
So as much as I want to get bigger and bigger, there's still a limit. And has your experience been that artists are willing to work with you on that kind of stuff too, because they understand?
Yeah, I mean, buddy, you best believe that the first line of my emails, whenever I'm like introducing myself or the venue, like, we are a independent, family owned business. We are
Intimate.
we are small. Please don't charge us an arm and a leg to come here. But I mean, yeah, people have been, I think, really, most people, I'll say, some people, and it's like, I get it, you know what I mean? Like, you're worth what you're worth,
It's
and,
fine.
you
I
know
mean, I had somebody. It's one of my favorite artists that I had booked that was supposed to be my spring show this year, and uh, the agent was like, "Yep, we can do it for that."
Yeah,
And then we were kind of like, "All right," we hadn't signed a contract yet, and then the managers came back and said, "Nope, this year we don't play in Kentucky for less than $10,000." And I'm like, I'm out. I can't do that. Like, I thought
yeah,
I thought we were good. He was, and bless his heart, he's like, man, he said, I'm sorry. He said that was a manager call. I said, it's fine. Like, it's cool. I just can't
yeah,
afford it. And
right,
he deserves it, but I can't afford it. And uh,
sure,
but you also find people who are worth 15 grand, but if they can catch Glasgow in between Nashville and Louisville, or Nashville and Indy, or
yeah.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you've got the draw, you know what I'm saying, and you're gonna sell those tickets to back up that price, and we can do it at the capacity that I can offer, sure, let's give it a whirl and see what happens. Um, but no, I mean, it's I don't think that there's a ceiling to, running venues like yours and mine, but I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, because, like, there are, like, I've seen studies myself that the vast majority of people would rather see a show in an intimate environment than in an arena or a stadium.
Well,
Um,
and I find too that you're better off quality over quantity. You know,
yes,
uh,
100%.
like, I could have a show here every weekend, but it would get watered down, and it wouldn't be special. And
Sure.
and you could railroad people in, but I feel like you do a really good job of curating and making sure that the
Thank you.
experience is positive for everybody. You're also an artist, so and
Right.
I know that you also play music, and you're like all the rest of us. If you get 10 seconds of free time, you start trying to do something else. Uh, so I know you do have you do perform as a solo artist, but you're also you've got a new project, correct?
Yeah, I do.
Are you going to talk about it?
I can if you want me to.
Yeah, because you're supposed to be at practice right now, but your drummer's sick.
My drummer got sick. I was a little redneck emo kid in high school, and I, grew up, through my adolescent years listening to all that angsty shit that everybody else my age did. Um, but I decided to start a Paramore cover band because I have always loved that music. I've always loved singing it. And I was like, I'm just going to ask some people that I know if they want to do it. And literally, it's like every single person, almost, not quite. There were a couple people that were just like, man, that sounds really fun, but I just don't really have the time. Like, everybody pretty much was like, "This is awesome, and I'm so glad that you asked me."
Look, I don't care how cool an artist thinks they are fanboy over somebody. Well, like everybody knows I love the Foo Fighters. I sing country music.
We're both fanboys over the same boy.
Yes, but it's one of those things where like it's what Zach and them used to do with what was it? Their Foo Fighter cover band. I was so jealous. I was like, that was like
I missed that era,
all my
unfortunately.
life. I think was the name of it. But
Oh,
it
man,
was
that's such a good one.
oh yeah, and it was like it was like I think it's super cool, and it is definitely. I do know we were practicing one time at sound check. We'd added a couple new people, and we had a little emo guitar player, Aaron, who
Mhm,
played with me,
mhm.
and Will, our drummer. They were new, so we were getting ready to go out to a festival in Kansas City. So we rented sound check for an evening, and we were outside like taking a break, and there was Haley and a couple other people there because they were rehearsing too in one of the big
Get
rooms.
out of
And Aaron was
here.
like, "Oh my God, it's Haley Williams," and I was
Oh
like,
my god.
and I'm not like even a huge Paramore fan, but I'm a Haley Williams fan.
Well, yeah, who isn't? God dang, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I am terrified, like, completely terrified to be those are big shoes to
Oh
attempt
yeah,
to step into, but these guys seem to think that
but
I might be able to pull it off, so we'll see.
I've heard what you sent me. It was so good,
Well,
and
thank you.
it's fun. Like people are gonna like it.
It's so fun. Like,
It gives
that's
people a
why I
reason to
wanted to
come
do it.
out. Yeah, you're gonna the people that are gonna be there are people who are just like you who are fans of that music. So that
Yeah,
it should be a lot
exactly.
of fun. Y'all got some shows lined up coming up soon. I think.
As of right now, all we have is, Tid Balls on March 15th.
Okay.
We
This may be coming out. This will come out shortly before that. So I'll
Okay, cool.
we'll make sure that people that are listening in the Bowling Green metropolitan area,
Come
uh,
on down to Tid
you got to
Balls.
get the old Tids what's the name of the band?
Business of Misery.
Oh, Business of Misery. Very good name. Um, well, Candace, I'm so glad you got in here and talked to me.
Me
I'm
too.
such a big fan of your venue. I mean, you're kind of like the mama. I know you're not the owner, but it's like you are the face of the Grove, and I think everything goes through you, and you're definitely the filter, for everything that comes in. So, if people are interested in checking out a show at the Grove, or if they're interested in booking something at the Grove, how do they get in contact?
We do all of the socials. I've got we'll have by the time it comes out. Our first show is going to be on April 19th.
Okay.
We've got Buffalo Wobs and the Price Hill Hustle and them Cooley Boys for our first show.
Oh man.
I saw them at the Burl whenever we had our Kentucky chapter meeting for NIVA out there. And they were just like exactly the vibe that I wanted for the first show. It's like these people might not know who they are yet, but they should. And
Well,
they're about to find
again,
out.
they're one of them bands that are just. I mean, Casey with his chains and
Dude,
his yeah.
he's, like, just, like, on a whole other plane, like, whenever I, like, left after the show was over, I was tired, I'd had a full day, I didn't really hang out, but literally while I was watching him, I was just like, I just want to give him a hug and tell him how precious he is.
He
Because
he
it was just like you could just feel like positive energy just radiating off of him,
he
you
was
know?
the MC for the Byron Roberts fundraiser at
Oh,
Manchester,
good. I
and
hated I couldn't make it out to that,
he was
man.
yes. So the Grove, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook.
Yes,
Y'all have a website.
thegroveglasgow.com, that's our website. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Um, what else? You can
They
sign
get,
up for our newsletter. We have
there
a
you
new
go.
newsletter, that people can subscribe to. I'm still trying to get used to telling people to do that.
Is there a
Uh,
way for artists on the website to reach out to you too if they're interested in
yes.
playing?
My booking email is literally public information. It's on pretty much everything. I
All right.
think I've got it listed on I don't think it's on Instagram, but it's on like the little info portion on Facebook. It's on our website, or you can just message me and I can give it to
Well, and I can say from experience, if you're an artist and you're listening to this, and especially if you're watching this, that means we're probably friends. And if you haven't played the Grove before, reach out to me, reach out to Candace, and she'll do her best to get you on. Uh, if it's opening for somebody, if you need to come down and kind of try things out first, she's totally game for that. But she'll check you out and she'll listen, and if you're good, she'll find a place for you.
you. I will always listen for sure.
Well, Candace, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for
Guys,
having me, bud.
hey, thanks for watching every damn Friday. Like, I can't believe I haven't missed a Friday yet. Like, knock on wood. Like, we're rocking
You're on
and
a
rolling.
streak.
I was gonna say it's like the kids in their Snapchat streaks.
Yeah,
I gotta keep. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna keep this streak going. Okay.
you got to.
All right, Candace. Thank you so much, and thanks for
Thank
watching
you.
every damn Friday, everybody.